Welcome to today's webinar. So today's webinar topic is before on-prem goes up in flames, cost-effective offsite backup strategy with Storware. So today's webinar is about offsite backup because you may know that recently we have a major disaster in IT. In Korea, government's shared drive, cloud shared drive, and there's a fire in the data center. 8 years of critical data is completely lost. No offsite backup, no DR plan, and they said there's even no first copy backup because of the design problem. The system cannot catch up to backup. But anyway, even they don't have a first backup because there's a fire that is also goes overnight. And many in the local policy, they enforce a user to put all of the file on the cloud drive, but they don't give a backup. So there is no second copy at the user local. So there's a permanent reputation and financial loss for the Korean government. So the key lessons today is one, on-prem alone is never a backup strategy. Yeah, so it will be put out, destroyed by fire, by water, by the electricity shock or whatever, or stolen your server. Yeah, this happens. So it will happen. It does happen. Yeah, and recently happened. So the big question is, if your primary site is gone, can your business still up and running? If the answer is isn't a confident yes, that means you have a gap in data protection, business continuity, and disaster recovery. That means you are we will seriously affected by those such kind of data loss. So what are the common mistake or common misconception that people will have? First, backup store in the same site. This is extremely common. So when there's a fire and there's a flood, or there's a hardware failure, or there's a ransomware, everything will be gone. Yeah, because you don't have a secondary backup or such kind of natural or human disaster will destroy all your data. So you will destroy your business on the other hand. And no immutable backup or copy. So ransomware attackers always delete your backup first, which is the fastest guarantee or much more higher percentage. You may pay the ransom with Bitcoin or whatever. That's because you don't have a backup, right? Don't have a backup offsite. So people usually the first backup and the only backup destination is NAS on the same data center or same place in the office. So this is not an office offsite backup, and it will be gone. Yeah, as the first misconcept. The last one is also pretty common. A restore is never tested. So backup is not assumed to be work. It has to be proven it works. So if there is no restore procedure, the restore is never tested, the backup you should assume it is not working and cannot be used. That may be a backup of not enough, like for some system they may have a restore or small partition that you forgot to back up. You didn't know you had to back up, So even you do an image backup, the system won't boot after restore because the small partition or partition is not backup, or you backup something that is not necessary and never used to restore it, waste your storage. There's also a common mistake for the backup. So if the backup is never been tested to be restored, you can assume the backup doesn't exist, right? So make sure there's a drill for wherever backup, no matter server, application. Yeah, nowadays we have lots of virtualization. The hypervisor is extremely easy to run a separate environment to do a restore, and you do a drill with a easy procedure. So do test your backup. Try to restore it. Make sure it will works, and have a document in case there's something happens. Everyone should know how to follow it and how to make it back online. Okay. So what's a common modern backup strategy? We always say 3-2-1 or 3-2-1-1. So 3 means 3 copies of your data. First copy, of course, is your production data. And the second copy is your backup. And the third copy is your offsite backup. Okay. So should we have 2 different storage types? And one is an offsite copy. And the last one is immutable backup. It is optional, but recommend, because as we discussed, hackers, attackers, ransomware will try to remove or delete or encrypt your backups. So immutable backup means it is be locked for a certain period of time and cannot be deleted or tampered or changed. So it makes sure you at least have a one copy that can be restored even you're hit by ransomware or some nasty hackers, attackers that will try to destroy everything on your site. So you still have one copy that works. So plan for the failure, not hope for uptime. So you should assume that should be a downtime or the data failure, hardware failure, or what kind of failure that happens, that you make sure you still got one copy. No matter it is on-prem, it's on in the cloud, they have a secondary site or a tape somewhere, or virtual tape somewhere, at least you've got a copy available for you. So why copy backups? We already have discussed fire, flooding, power surge, ransomware attack, accidental deletion, insiders of the page, and full site disaster, like the Korean incident. Okay, let's talk a little bit of fire and flood. Well, fire and flood cannot not necessarily to be full-scale disaster level, full-site burn. It can happen. It's just your small fire on your NAS in one of the power supply that can be create a data loss. That may be a problem, or a certain power problem, and short circuit, whatever. There's something will be burned, and then you will lost data. And ransomware, of course, we have talked a few times. Yeah, they of course will delete your backup, delete your production data, encrypt them. And accidental deletion is not that rare. Well, it happens like for file level. Usually, you have a recycle bin mechanism, or somewhere you got a second copy. But most dangerous, troublesome deletion is the accidentally delete some virtual machines, some database, some tables, or some Git source code repository, software repository, something like that. Well, I recently heard an interesting story. Nowadays, we all talk about AI. Some people play around with programming. The AI help you to delete the production database. And you ask the AI, say, why you did it? Yes, I did it. That's all. Why don't you do a backup? No, AI won't do it for you. AI just do it what they trust that follow your instruction. So you say, oh, alter the database to this and that, and they maybe delete your production database and run a new script to create a new one. That still happens. So not just accidentally deleted by human beings, but nowadays one more play is called AI. So having backup is very important. Yeah, and offsite backup also very important. So inside the threats that need not to say too much. So and the last one is the Korean government case that there's really a disaster. Yeah, but fire is you cannot be predict and you cannot 100% prevent. So we do need to prepare. And there is also a mistake or the misconcept that people may purely rely on cloud backup. Well, I will say pure cloud backup is not okay all the time. Well, but in case if you have a large data volume, including some virtual server or large database, so pure cloud backup, it will be costly. Well, don't forget, even you do cloud backup, it is also recommend you have two set of cloud backup with different vendors. So you shouldn't only put on like S3 or Amazon or just put Microsoft or just to put in Google. You may think about, okay, there's a second copy of Offsite in others vendors. Well, doing the same is not that difficult. You may simply get a script to run or whatever, then you can sync the data, or there's some mechanism to do that between the cloud. But two copies, yeah, 3211, yeah, that's the same apply. But if you purely want all through the cloud, that may be very costly. And there will be some better login because you put it on the same vendor, although you can choose different available zone or region that to avoid a single point of failure. You have at least two copies in different locations, but that will be they will increase the burden of vendor login. So when if you want to migrate or you to use multi vendors, that may be some hesitation for you. So think about it. And in case your restoration is not target to the same cloud vendor, the restoration will be very slow because you have to download all the stuff. Well, if there is a cloud to cloud, it will be much faster. But if you want to download the on-prem, that can be very, very slow. That you cannot forget when you calculate this restore time, the time to restore the site and have services in case there is a major failure. That can be days or weeks if you have a large enough data. And some cloud backup didn't have enough immutable configuration to lock up the data that you can check. So there may be also a problem that it will be tempted by ransomware or deleted by somewhere or whoever else that your cloud backup also will be gone. So usually we will suggest in case if your data is on-prem, of course, if the data is on cloud, that will be other story. But your data is on-prem, cloud backup should be the secondary. Okay, if your data is on cloud, of course the same cloud storage, so same vendor usually should be the first, just like the on-prem. But you should choose at other vendors or other sites for as a second backup, and that should be something different as an offsite backup. If you only choose the same vendors like the recent AWS downtime, you may still need to wait for a certain period of time before you can retrieve your data back because some of the major service of like a DNS of the AWS is down, so some core service is make you cannot retrieve your data. So have a different render is also important in your pure cloud usage. Okay. So any simple or integrate solution to settle all those on-prem or cloud storage, backup, restore, second copy, offsite copy, air gap copy, whatever. Yes, we have. There's the introduction Storware, which is simple, centralized, support immutable storage, cost-effective backup solutions. So we protect like Hyper-V, VMware, Cosmos, KVM, and many others like Scale Computing, Nutanix, wherever, and then also a few open source hypervisor. And on the cloud, we support M365, Google Workspace, and AWS, and also we're able to help you to back up Kubernetes and containers, physical server, cloud VMs, S3 storage, and then many other object storage, NAS, and files. And we support, you can store to the local, to the offsite, or S3 cloud storage. And we can help you to configure the immutable backup targets. Okay, and we support virtual library also. So what is the common architecture we do? So we the primary side, you back up the local backup repository, then we do an offsite backup copy to any storage. So we support immutable snapshots and copies. We have auto retention, and we have encryption in flight and at rest. So ensure data is being encrypted, no matter we're moving the data or the backup copy itself, it will be encrypted and protected. Okay. So why using software for offsite strategy? There's a few advantages. So we can help you to ensure a no vendor lock-in, because we have a storage agile freedom. So you can put whatever storage target what you want. You can put on the same cloud or on-prem or wherever on the different kind of object storage. We should support a wide range of that. And flexible cloud options, you can use like for example Wasabi S3 on-prem, or even you can do an on-prem S3. Yeah, then there's some open source software that can make you hold some object storage in local, but many others distributed storage we also support as a target, no matter it's on-prem or on the cloud. And we support immutable copies, so we can help you to have ransomware proof to ensure some copies won't be attempted. And we support air gapping scheduling to help you to disconnect the copies from the network. So make sure you have a different copy on different location, which is air gapped, to further protect from ransomware or hackers attack. So we have a low cost, up to 80% cheaper than a legacy backup. It depends on what kind of storage and backup strategy you are using, but we are really cost effective and simple licensing. We use per volume or per workload license that you have a predictable costs. So that's why we can use software for free offsite backup. So there are a few slides talk about software. So there's some major customers, and we have quite a even distribution of different industry. As long as you got large number of hypervisor, physical machine, or virtual machine, or if you use some open source hypervisor, that you should choose Storware. And we have a few different key sources like have I said, OpenStack, Oracle Virtual Manager, Scale Computing, Nutanix, OpenShift, Microsoft, Vegas, Cosmos, and many others hypervisor that we able to support, which is not that common compared with competitors. So if you think about moving out from some of the hypervisor to something new, but you don't have a good backup for that, then software is your solutions. to backing up the new sources. So as I said, we have different features. First of all, we have the immutable backup. We have ISO layer, Linux layer, tape drives backup, and we also offer MFA. We can enable MFA when you try to restore, when you try to delete something, or even log into the console to ensure that it says proper authenticate to avoid at the accidental deletion, or there's some reduce the possibility of the hackers taking over the system to remove or change your backup settings. So also we have encryption. When you send the data from the source to the destination backup server or the storage, will help you to, during the transition, we do encryptions. But when you store a backup copy, we also will help you to encrypt the image files. And also we support an air gap environment. Someone may not quite understand what means air gap. Air gap means we have a separate disconnect network or segment from our production network. So to avoid there's an outsider that connect through the hacking through some email or some kind of phishing, then they will control one of the computer and then delete your backup. With air gap, it will be disconnect from your major network, so they cannot be remove or delete or encrypt your backup copy through lateral movement in the production network, which is a internet available. So the gap environment to keep your data safe from attackers and ransomware. So this is a very high level architecture for Storware. As I said, we have a large number of icons that for different kind of hypervisor. All this can be backed up by Storware, like including Huawei, Citrix, Ubuntu, Red Hat, Cosmos, yeah, many others. And we also backup containers, we backup cloud. Maybe use this one. Yeah, backup cloud and backups those storage providers. So those are not just local file system, but also we can support like those Nutanix volume groups, Nutanix files, SUSE enterprise storage, or CP, which is a distributed system that come open source one, usually commonly used by the Cosmos clusters. Now you also can back up those distributed file systems. And of course, we can back up some applications like databases, and Git or others applications for API to back up those data and database. And of course, we have agent to install to back up physical server or workstations. For destination, as you can see, the first one, of course, is file system, which is your local file system, iSCSI, NFS, SMB, or some SAN storage, object storage, cloud storage, and others. And here is the list of common cloud storage that you can use for the backup destination, which is also flexible and wide range of provider is supported. And we still have VirtualTech library. Last but not least, we have a very interesting plugin for you to integrate your existing enterprise backup solutions. You may have a net backup up and running, but it does not support those containers or new hypervisor that you want to back up. So you can make a Storware as a middleware. We back up the hypervisor and feed the data to your corporate backup solutions. So your existing retention, existing storage management, you can keep it on that and keep on that without changing a lot, but extend your backup capability for your existing enterprise backup solutions, which is also a interesting features in case you are using those enterprise backup having issue to backup something new. which is not preferred to have two separate backup solutions. So that's a very good solution for such kind of users. So there's a few others function features, VMware level, VM level, hypervisor level, container level, agent as full backup. We also have a snapshot management. So besides, we help you to create backups to put shooting to offsite or on-prem. We also can help you to taking snapshots. So which is more on a protection purpose or the rollback purpose. And yeah, so this is a additional function features. And of course, as I said, we have an application level backup. So to backup on a set of application or set of files. We will drill into your OS to retrieve certain files to do the backup. Like in many applications, there's a NoSQL database that they have actually a bunch of files that we can make use of them to do the backup and exchange, agent-based backup, and we have many others like independent backup server to proxy we can support multiple backup servers. So you can ensure your loading will be balanced to ensure the performance, because in case you have a terabyte or petabyte of data, backing up is not that feasible to have only single node to handle that. So we has a cluster architecture that can help you to handle large number of server and high level volume of data. And of course, we have DR restore, like you can use this backup, mark image. Yeah, all those is pretty common of image-based backup solutions. So there's two very simple suggestions for the practical way how can we make use of Storware. Well, if there's a budget options, so there's SMB, we have a small number of data, then we can use an on-prem backup repository, like you backup to the SAN or NAS. Then you use the Wasabi S3 compatible storage as the second copy, and you create an immutable weekly backup on Wasabi. We can lock it on Wasabi, and also we can lock it on the on-prem backup also. But more or less it's just a permission, so more reliable that you put on the cloud that have a native blocking mechanism on many cloud storage. So make sure you enable it. Then we can help you to lock up your backup image on the cloud. Well, if there's enterprise options, of course we still have on-prem. Then you have a replication to your DC second data center as a second repository, and then we have an immutable backup on the air-gapped cloud layer. So you can put the data, still put it on the cloud, but which is become a third copy as an immutable backup as well as an air-gapped environment, because it's far from your production environment. Okay, so it's simple, right? So some cost saving tips. So it always suggests to use a cheap object storage as an immutable offsite backup, like Wasabi or MinIO, which is those are very cost-effective cloud storage you can make use as a backup. It is always enough if you use it as a secondary or third copy of backup. And so you can ensure that you have enough uptime and compliance with the enterprise storage costs, because some will put it on S3, put a SAN. Well, that can be very costly. So here's a final message. So disaster is unpredictable, but it will happen, right? And data loss is preventable. So the current government fire improvement thing, if your offsite backup doesn't exist, your recovery doesn't exist. So sorry, make it affordable, automate, ransomware proof, and make it offsite ready. So what's next? You can, if you're interested to do POC or testing, you can contact us and we can do a free POC, yeah, or we can help you to review your existing infrastructure, how you do the backup, how you place a backup, what's the cost, how much it is, and then we can give you some alternative or suggestion to improve your backup strategy. At least have 1 or 2 copy as immutable copy on the cloud that can be easily be achieved with Storware or even your existing solutions. So, any questions? Okay, in case there's no questions, you guys can always contact me through email, or you can book me a 15 minutes short consultant time period for free. Yeah, with the Calendly URL in this slide. Okay, so thank you for today. That's all for today's sharing. Yeah, thank you very much. Bye-bye.